everybody, welcome to the special edition of emilykatemadethis. I am Emily Kate and I'm coming to you from Berlin in Germany. This episode is all about my Swedish bonnet, or Swedish cap. And so all of that footage was deleted. Welcome back, or welcome to the future. This is future me, who accidentally recorded about a solid 30 minutes of... accidentally deleted about 30 minutes of me talking about my plans and hopes and dreams for this project. Yeah, then I deleted it, so I only just discovered this recently, in the last couple of days. So about 3 weeks later I am re-recording, and yeah, now I've obviously made said project, so it's not quite the same vibe that I had planned for the video originally, but hey ho, we are here. The main thing is the outcome, and it is glorious. Spoiler alert. So that's all you need to really worry about. You don't need to really worry about this intro, so let us just move on and start again. So if you know me, you know I do love myself a good vintage pattern. Vintage patterns are in themselves quite complicated, quite confusing at times, purely because of the yarn being at different weights and the needles being different and the language is a little different, and sometimes they just don't put gauge in. Just have fun. Make something and see what size it comes out. So I am not adverse to this, but I thought, why not take it up a notch? Why not try out a new pattern in another language that is also vintage? And so with that, I came across a Swedish knitting pattern, and I thought, why not? Why not give it a go? And that is exactly what I did. I came across a knitting pattern for something incredibly adorable in Swedish. So this pattern is originally for a child, but I saw somebody on Instagram, and if I can find that post, I will link it below, if I can find it. But this woman basically made this hat, and she's an adult, and I saw it on her first. Then I saw that she mentioned it was for a child, and she specifically said, if you type in this sentence, you will find the pattern. And so I did. I typed the sentence in Swedish into Google and the pattern arrived. I will link the pattern below. It's a free pattern in that it's on a Swedish website, and it's a Swedish newspaper clipping, and I think it's from the 70s or perhaps 80s. But it's called Grandma's... what is it? This is where I turned my camera off to go look this up before and then deleted everything. So a cap from Grandma's time. So that is referencing the fact that this bonnet is it's like a Dutch bonnet. It's very typical of the 1930s, 1940s, and a little bit of the 1950s. And so it's a 1970s redo of a vintage 1940s. But of course 1970s is also vintage now, so it's like double vintage. But of course it's in Swedish, and it's a newspaper clipping, and it's quite sparse in instruction. It's about this big. I did think it would be a lot easier to translate this, but alas, Google suffered immensely, and so did AI. But you'll see all about that in the future. So I used Swedish wool for this, the Jarbo Svensk Ull. What is it? I think it's just called that, Svensk Ull. It's 200 meters roughly per 100 grams. I used two colors, a nice orangey, coppery color and a natural color, and I combined them and magic was created. I used 3mm needles, so it's quite a dense, to make it quite a dense fabric, because obviously it's used like a hood, You don't want any breeze coming through that. I think I will wrap up the intro here because I've genuinely recorded this so many times because I keep trying to remember what I talked about originally. Let's just get on with the video and I will see you at the very end, although I've already recorded the end, so I'll see you back. So enjoy and I'll see you at the end. Bye bye. Did I misread the chart and make all of the black crosses orange? Yes, I did. Did I then rip them all out, start again, and then discover that despite there being 35 stitches, there's actually 31. And I don't understand how this happens. My only thought is maybe I need to add 2 on each end, but it doesn't say that anywhere. It starts here and it says 35, so I don't know. At no point in the pattern, at least in the translated version, does it say I need to do 2 stitches in the orange or white, but evidently, no matter how many times I count this, there are 31 stitches, not 35. So now I want to do this central stitch. It's not central because it's not 35 stitches like I have cast on and like it says. So I think I have to rip it out for a second time and add 2 on each side. Fun. Okay, it's the next day and I have completed, the other way around, I have completed what I think is the back of the cap or bonnet. So now apparently, if my instructions are okay and correct, I have to pick up 39 stitches, I think from here, then knit these and then pick up 39 stitches. Let's go! I'm already confused. I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to pick up, whoops, the 39, starting from, there were 4 rows of plain, and then knit 39 and pick up 3 in the corner, which there isn't really a corner, then pick up 35, then 3, then 39, but then I've got all of this bottom part, but maybe it's meant to be, I really don't know. Okay, so I have done all the way around. In the pattern they say to go to white, but I didn't want white. I wanted it to stay in this orangey colour. So apparently I now have to, what does it say? Additional. When working on the wing, incorporate 1 stitch from the wing with right side row when picking up from the neck. So I think I have to fold it and somehow attach it. I will come back to you when I have figured that out. Okay everybody, that took me a really long time. I think I figured it out. It looks about right. Why can't I show you? It's all folded up on itself, but let's just pray with blocking. Basically I had to fold over that long part, fold it in half and stitch it together, but I could not figure it out at all. And I've done it on a jumper with the fold over neckline thing, but for some reason this one just did not work out the same. And I don't know that if I did it right, but I really hope so. So basically all of my stitches are still on all the way around. And now I'm going to, instead of picking up, because they're already picked up, going to knit along and start on this section. And let's just pray that it is going to work and I'm reading it correctly. I could be overthinking this, but I also think this pattern's just super confusing and I'm not used to this kind of construction. There's only 21 stitches in this, not 23. There are 12 in here, but then this one seems to be this one when you get to the end. So you do those on the right side, then you repeat this 6 times, but then on the last bit you need to add these 3 instead of this 1, but then you have to reverse this because this will be on the left side as well. So actually when you get to the end of the row, you don't, because it's knitted flat, usually you knit from the right and then you'd go on the purl side and purl from the left and then back and forth, but apparently not like this. I have to make sure that when I flip over to the purl side I'm still doing it from this side, otherwise I won't get this section because it's not over here. And my brain is really struggling to comprehend flipping this image, and once I get to here, actually not really being here but being here, I don't know why it's so hard for my brain, but I have been struggling with this for ages and I'm only on row 2. I have no idea if this is going to work, but my hands are so freaking sore. This is really difficult to work because it's not in the round, it's all on one cable. I tried it with 2 cables, but it did not work. So my hands are struggling quite a lot. Out of curiosity, I just timed myself on the knit row and it took me 7 minutes. Let's see how long the purl side takes. This is honestly just to keep me amused. This is a long slog, but we're getting there, Okay, my purl side took me 8 minutes and I just did another knit side and that was 5 minutes and 30 seconds. This is how I keep going. Okay, little update time. So I did the ribbing, even though it doesn't mention ribbing at all in either the Google or the AI translation. It just says to finish this section and knit 1 row of 1 by 1 rib, which is obviously not the case if you look at the picture on the pattern, but ho hum, I just did I think 6. For some annoying reason it's really curling up. Theoretically, I could have probably gone down a needle size. I did do 2.75, but ho hum, it'll be fine when it's blocked, I hope. Then the more hilarious part is it says to pick up 32 stitches and 32 stitches and 32 stitches, and you'll have 106 stitches, but that is not the case. And it also didn't account for picking up any of these, so I picked them up. And Google says I must knit 5 stockinette stitches. Once I've picked up 106 stitches, they say, I knit 5 stitches and cast off. Pretty sure that's not a thing. That's going to create anything, just anything. And AI says that I should knit 5 stitches and then I should fold over and sew everything together. So I've decided to ignore them entirely and go with what makes sense in my brain, and based off the picture it looks like they did. It does say to knit a purl row on the right side and then fold. So I'm going of 5 rows, a purl row, 5 rows, then I'm going to fold that in half, sew it in, then that is where I will put my like string or whatever you want to call it, the closure around the neck. And then it looks like the picture. But what these instructions are saying is, I mean the translated ones at least, is mayhem. But hopefully I just have 2 more rows to go. Then I have to seam it together. Then I'm hoping the knitting part is done. I am absolutely not going to knit an enormous I-cord. I think I'm just going to grab a few of these and turn it into a plait and pull that through. And obviously block it, because that is not going to keep anybody warm. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Hello everybody! So I've been a terrible podcaster and I have not checked back my footage to see what I have said and what I have not said. But hopefully I can remember what I wanted to say. The creation is complete. It is glorious. It is hilarious and also marvellous. I will give you a little show and tell. Are you ready? The creation is completed. So that was a mission and a half to knit this baby. I thought it would be a lot easier to Google Translate this. No. I used Google Translate and I used ChatGPT, and both struggled immensely with this pattern. They didn't understand most of the numbers, so at one point, I believe it was on this bottom half, I think it was Google said I will have 11 stitches left. From where, I don't know, and ChatGPT said to pick up 119 or something like that. So they were very vastly off. One of them would understand I have to pick stitches up and one of them wouldn't. One said ChatGPT said I have 119 stitches and I knit 5 stitches and then I cast off. What does that even mean? I don't know. And I just went with knitting 5 rows, but then it said on the instructions something along the lines of pick up stitches 5, purl a row, fold, knit 5, something like that. Obviously in Swedish it makes a lot more sense, but the translation apps were really struggling with this phrase, so I just went with knit 5, do a purl row, knit 5, fold it over, because that is where you insert your tying string. I could and should probably have done like an I-cord so it would be smooth and round, but I did not. I just plaited a really long string. Not that you can see it, I just did a really long plait and it's fine. Ideally it would be a lot softer so it wouldn't be so scratchy under my chin, but it's fine. When I'm really cold I don't mind, and there's a scarf here usually. So that was a definite faux pas. I don't think that I took a picture because at the time it was dark and I was really annoyed, but when I finished the ribbing it was flaring out like this, like about 2 inches, whatever, 5 centimeters of just above my head, and it looked ridiculous. And I could not figure out how to do crochet to tighten it, so I just did my usual. I added elastic, so that brought that in. So I'm much happier now because it has elastic to bring it in closer to my face. From my understanding, the pattern doesn't tell you to actually go down in your ribbing, so the ribbing needle, and I should have. I did not. I mean, technically I went down to 2.75 instead of the 3, but maybe 2.25 would have been a better option. But hey ho, it worked in the end. And I think it's not perfect, but considering I was going from a pattern that I couldn't read in any shape or form and that Google and AI struggled with, I am very, very pleased with the outcome. And the best thing is my ears are so warm. They're so warm when I go outside. When I wear my berets, I have since after complaining looked at pictures from the 1930s, 40s, 50s. People really do just wear berets to look pretty. They're not functional. I don't know why I was expecting them to cover my ears and keep me warm. They are to balance on your head and look really, really nice. And that's great probably for autumn or spring, but not when it is -15 and I'm cold. So now I have toasty, toasty warm ears, and when the wind blows, my hat doesn't blow off because it's all attached. I might look very silly, but I am happy looking this silly. I find it really funny that it looks like cat ears. The pattern that I followed is a modern pattern. I still can't figure out what year, but let's go with the 80s. They recommend superwash wool, and so this wouldn't be quite as firm and sticky uppy, but I don't have a problem with that. I find it hilarious. I look like a cat. And it's Swedish wool. Don't think I've mentioned that at any point, but this is Swedish wool. It's so cute. And I will not be doing this pattern again anytime soon. I want to do a very similar pattern, but not this one. But if I was to do it again, I would probably do something slightly different on the bottom. I don't know, I picked up the way it explained to pick up stitches was really confusing to me, and I didn't pick up enough, or I picked up too many, I'm not sure. So it has formed a bit of a strange shape, which again I don't actually mind because I have a scarf on and I'm not looking. It's practical and warm, that is the main thing. But just like nitpicking, if I was to do it again, a couple of things I would change so that it would sit in closer, and maybe I could find a way to pull this in with a different string so that I could pull it tighter without actually strangling myself. But yeah, I am delighted with this, and it goes with my scarf. It will go with my new mittens that I am creating. Not Swedish, but also vintage. I really must find the details. And if you have the mad urge to do this pattern yourself, I'll link the website that I got the Swedish pattern from. I didn't pay, it was free, it's free on somebody's website and it's in Swedish obviously, so feel free. One thing that bothered me in this pattern that bothers me in my pattern I'm doing now, gosh, I have so much on my mind I can't even remember what I'm trying to say. My New Zealand pattern, my Star Serenade, pretty certain this pattern and the one I'm doing now are all hand-drawn charts, and they use a black cross to indicate the white stitches and then a white square to indicate the colour, like the orange. And it really, really stresses me out because I'm looking at it and seeing black and I'm not thinking that's white. I'm looking at the white squares and thinking they're white, but they're not their colour. And yeah, that stressed me out a little bit because I did go wrong at the very beginning because of that. And it's a lot harder for some reason on the mittens that I'm making right now. I got used to it with this, but that was a struggle. And also this pattern it's knitted flat, but you don't read it like you would normally read a flat pattern. Usually you knit from the right to the left, then you purl from left to right and back and forth. This one is not like that. You do everything from the right hand side. So luckily, I discovered this about halfway through, but luckily it's symmetrical. So like this is the same as this. So that was fine, but it was just at this end part here, it looks like it has a border in comparison to the middle, and that part was indicated in a rather confusing way on the pattern. For me, confusing for me, simply because I've never seen that before. And yeah, like I said, I'm enjoying learning and using my brain and having to figure stuff out that is usually laid out for you on modern patterns, in modern patterns. And in this case, not. So, ta-da! What do you think? Are you all going to start making one? It is very warm. I haven't figured out if it's a hood, a bonnet, or a cap. So I really need to figure that out before I title this video. But thank you everybody for watching along, and I will see you soon with some accessories to go with. Bye!